All right, everyone, we're going to do a range test on the Euphree City Robin bike. And you can check my playlist for a complete overview on this bike. But today we're going to test the range. Euphree lists on their website that this will go 60 plus miles on a single charge. So we're going to put that to the test today. I do my range test throttle only, so it's going to be lower than that for sure, but we'll find out how low. Really quick specs on it. You get hydraulic disc brakes, 500 watt rear hub motor. It peaks at 850. It's got some good power. I can get it to go 27, 28 mile an hour on the throttle only. Rack fenders included. The rack's actually built into the frame, so there's no taking that off. You get a Suntour suspension seat post, comes standard. It's a very comfortable bike, very smooth, quiet bike as well. It's got the tires that are 2 point something inches wide, so not a fat tire bike. Step through, easy to access, but today we're gonna take a look at how far it'll go on throttle only. And let me give you a really quick spec. So battery pack, 48 volt, 14 amp hour battery pack. I weigh 175 pounds. This bike on my scale weighed 61 pounds as it sits. So gives you an idea. My weight, bike weight, what this thing's gonna be hauling around. It's cold today, like 45 degrees Fahrenheit outside, so a little chilly. And we're gonna ride throttle only, no pedaling whatsoever. Just throttle only is going to carry me around because I want to show you the minimum number, right? If you don't pedal at all and you ride throttle only and you just max this thing out, what is that number? That's what I aim to give you. What is the minimum range number if you ride the bike with complete and total disregard for battery conservation? What is this? What's the minimum amount it's going to take you? That's what I want to tell you. So I'm going to go out full throttle as long as I can, and never pedaling, and just try to give you that number. What's that baseline? Because it can only go up from there the more you pedal this bike and the more you back off the throttle, right? So I'll give you the bottom number today. Let's go get into this now. All right, get my gloves on. We are 2 miles into the test. I've also got my GPS on my phone running to keep track, because this bike, I believe it resets the trip meter every time you turn it off. So if by some chance it turns off on me, I won't lose my mileage. I have it on my phone as well. So, and we'll verify how accurate it is, bike versus GPS as well. So no pedaling, throttle only. Start rolling. I'm gonna give you some guesses at the beginning. Okay, let's see. I should be able to guess this, right? I've done enough of these that you'd think I would know. The tires are going to be a big factor, I feel. Being that they're fast rolling, smooth tread. I'm used to big, knobby, fat tire bikes. And those, they don't go very far. There's a lot of rolling resistance. Ooh, that's windy. Let me turn around this way. So I don't have to talk into the wind. These are fast rolling. They're high pressure. The max pressure on these is 60 PSI. Minimum is 40. I set them to 45 PSI. That's a pretty firm tire. This is a very smooth, quiet bike. Not much rolling resistance there. So I'm gonna guess higher than I normally would. 14 amp hour battery pack. I'm gonna say, 27 miles. I think maybe it goes on just the throttle only. We'll see. I wouldn't be shocked if it went less than that. I'd be shocked if it went more than that. I mean, I'm guessing pretty high. 27, that's my guess. I think we're gonna go 27 miles on this before it just becomes unusable. I run them down. I used to run them until they just shut off, but now I kind of run them down to, okay, when do you run out of usable power? That's what I feel is the end, when you've just got to the point where it's not usable. It's not providing you any assistance really. So I'll check back in when we hit a milestone here, when we start losing some significant battery life or something happens, but we'll see how far we get. All right, we are 5.4 miles into the test, and I'm at my range test roads, just to give you a feel for how I do these range tests. So my aim is to hit the throttle and just hold it wide open as long as possible. So that's what this road here allows me to do. It's 3.5 miles of nothing. I can just hold the throttle wide open. There's no traffic lights, there's no stop signs, and there's a lot of level, flat, uphill, downhill. It's a good variety on this road. So I just ride back and forth on this one a bunch of times because I'm mixing in flats, hills, and it's just wide open throttle. I was still showing full battery back there, so I don't know. It's going to take a minute to kill this bike, I think, but I'm going directly into some headwind, so this is only carrying me 21 miles an hour. It's really windy out right now. So we shall see. Check back in later. All right, we made it to the other end of our long road, and we're at 9 miles, and we're only down one little tiny battery segment out of 10. So the battery is still showing almost full power after 9 miles, which I'm a little surprised at, being how cold it is today, and just full throttling it for 9 miles. And I don't know, we'll see. Again, the battery indicators aren't generally a good indicator of how much actual power is left, so that's why we do this. But let's run the road back again. I'm cold. It's cold. It's cold. When you can't pedal and you can't keep yourself warm, it's cold being in the 20 to 30 mile an hour wind. All right, so we made a quick pit stop at home. It's chilly out. My hands are numb. You can see there's still some snow and ice on the ground, but we're into this test now, 16.2 miles. And we still have, over half battery showing. I don't believe it's at full. We'll see. So 16.2 miles. I checked my phone GPS. It said 15.2 miles, so it's a mile off between those two. But we'll get warmed up and then get back out and hit it and get this thing finished off, see where it ends up. All right, we are back at it. I switched to different gloves. I got my heated gloves on, which make my hands nice and toasty. I'll link them if you want to try them, but there's probably better options out there. They do okay. But we're another 5.2 miles in, so that brings us up over, 21 miles. And I'm showing 4 bars left on the battery, and when I hit the throttle, it goes down to 2. So there's still some juice left. I'm on some flat terrain here, and this is a nice ride out here by this lake. And this thing, here's one thing I'll say about this bike. It is just whisper quiet. You don't hear this thing at all. It doesn't really rattle. The motor doesn't make a lot of noise. The tires don't make hardly any noise. So, driving past all these people, I don't even think they know I'm on an e-bike. Really, it's a very quiet bike. So I guess if you're looking for an option that's not glaringly obvious in e-bike, maybe this could be a good one for you. But I'll check back in once I think we're getting really towards the end of this. But I think my guess is going to be pretty accurate. I think we're going to end up somewhere in the high 20s. All right, we clocked in another 10.4 miles onto the, what did we have before, like 16 point something? So we're like 26 and a half miles. And I think we're getting pretty close to the end here. The battery thing shows 1 bar, and then as soon as I hit the throttle, it just disappears and flashes like it's dead. The bike will still move me down the road. It just very, very slowly builds. Let's see how fast it'll get going here. It's still kind of usable. If you're on level ground, I guess you could use this. See, it's running me up 17 miles an hour, but we're approaching a really small incline in the road here, and it's just gonna die out, down to 12, 11, 10. I don't even know if we're going to make this incline. So I think that might be the end of usable power. It's just assisting you a little bit. I'm pedaling now and to get us up this incline. So I don't know. I could probably limp this thing down the road for another, you could probably squeeze another couple miles out of it, as long as you're on level ground. But I don't know, it's hard to call when the end is. I wouldn't really want to ride it around like this. You get to any kind of hill, it's pretty much not going to assist you at all. So we're at 10.8. So I think I was like right on the money. I think we're right at like 27 miles that this thing went with under its own power, just me not pedaling at all. So that's pretty good. It's pretty good out of a 14 amp hour battery pack. That's the low number. That's probably the minimum you're gonna get. And I didn't really ride in very, very hilly terrain, so keep that in mind. It's pretty flat where I live. If you have some hills, you're gonna eat up battery even quicker than that. So, all right, we're at 11.3 here, added on to our 16 point whatever. So let's see how it takes off from a stop. It barely gets rolling, but it's still going. It is still moving itself, but I'm calling it there. I mean, that's the end. That's the end of usable power on this thing. Like 27.5 miles I got out of this thing. Throttle only, no pedaling. That's pretty good. That's pretty good out of a 14 amp hour battery pack. So that, my friends, is the bottom number on range for the City Robin. That's probably the minimum you're gonna get it to go. It'll only go up from there if you pedal and take it easy on this battery and this throttle. But I'm gonna use this last little bit of power to get myself home. Thankfully, I'm not that far away, but hope you found it helpful. Thank you so much for watching. All right, this is my least favorite part of range test videos. Getting home with no power, especially when there's a couple hills on the way. Here we go. I just went from e-biker to cyclist. Whew. Thankfully, this one's not that heavy. Easier than the fat tire bikes.